Hey everybody, Shwazy here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit more, maybe scenic or more casual than my usual videos. And what I mean by that is me and the wife over this past 4th of July weekend went on a little bit of a staycation up to a city called Garden City. If you guys are familiar with Utah, that's where Bear Lake is located. And well, it is a lake town to nobody's surprise. It's a beautiful area. We got some great rest and relaxation that was much needed. And we took the Ford Bronco on some off-road trails. Now, if you guys are familiar with the place, you'll know that it is a beautiful area with some very scenic trails, and we were fortunate enough to be able to, grab some cameras, hit the road, and show you some of the cool trails that we took this vehicle on. So before we get started and show you all the footage, I wanted to show you the aftermath of going off-roading, because I have yet to have washed the car since I took it on a couple off-road trails. And it got pretty dusty. So most of the places in this area do not have like slick rock. They're really just kind of dusty dirt trails. And so you get the vehicle very dirty. And so I am about to go clean up, but before I do so, I want to show you exactly what it looks like. So as you can see, it's a pretty dusty area, especially you could tell by the tires over here and this rear end. You could see that it is pretty nasty. So we're gonna quickly go and wash this vehicle, and then as I do the hard work, you guys are gonna enjoy some of the cinematic footage, and then we'll regroup and talk about exactly what my experience was, because this was my first true off-roading experience after installing these Sasquatch wheels and tires and the shocks. And I'll also discuss some of the trails we went on. So without further ado, let me do some hard work and get all of these bug splatters off the vehicle, and you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Well, there you have it after about an hour and a half of cleaning, and it is somewhat clean. It's definitely in better shape than it was when I first took it, but it's not perfect, so forgive me. I just am running out of sunlight, and so I kind of have to make do with what I got if I want to finish filming for today. But as you can see, the tires are still dirty. I would love to get some recommendations from you guys and girls out there on what you use to clean your tires. I have a wet tire applicator that I use, but that doesn't really clean the tires. It just kind of makes them shiny. So I'm curious to hear your take on what product you use for your tires, but that is a different topic for a different video. Now, you guys saw the footage of the off-road trip, and I'm not gonna lie, I knew it was gonna happen, but there is a little bit of collateral damage from the off-road trip. And let me show you what I'm talking about. It's going to be hard to see on camera, but if I shine a light, you may be able to notice that there is a little bit of pinstriping going across the side of the vehicle. So you may be able to catch it on camera in certain angles. Let me see if I can focus. Right there, you may have caught it on video. There you go. You're getting glimpses of the pinstriping. It goes all the way across. I don't really see anything back here, but I do see some on the driver's side as well, especially near the rear door handle. So there is a little bit of pinstriping. It's actually not too bad. You guys can probably see that on camera at this angle. It's actually not as bad as I thought it would be, because I'm not gonna lie, I did take this Bronco into some pretty narrow paths, if you couldn't tell on camera. There were some sections over there where I did get some trees brushing up against the side of the vehicle, and I gotta say the fenders actually took probably the most amount of damage. As you can see, they've got a little bit of rock chips in over here from some of the washboard roads that I was driving on, as well as some rock chips located down here near the rocker panels. So overall, there was a little bit of damage, but I kind of expected it to happen. And honestly, it looks a little bit better than what it sounded like and what it felt like driving through these branches in the woods. A lot of these trails were made for UTVs, side-by-sides, ATVs, and not necessarily for full-size vehicles like this. And so I kind of expected it, but I kind of did it on purpose too. I am pretty meticulous about my vehicles, and I keep them very clean. I've made a video as to why I don't drive my Hellcat. It's because I'm constantly worried it's going to get stolen. But I honestly purchased this vehicle to do the stuff that I did in today's video. And so I'm actually really happy with it. Even though it does get a little bit of damage, I'm gonna be able to buff it out. It'll be fixable. And overall, it just allows me to go to places that I probably wouldn't have gone to before. And I'm not too mad about it. Now, I want to talk about the Sasquatch package specifically. So we're talking about this 35-inch wheels and the Sasquatch shocks, which I installed in the last video. I want to talk about whether that really made a difference into how this vehicle drove off-road. Now, full disclosure, on the stock version of the Big Bend that I had with the regular shocks and the 32.5-inch tires, I only went off-roading probably about 2 or 3 times. One time was in Moab, one time was in a canyon. There's one other time that I took it on really an off-road trail. And so I don't have a great baseline as to how that handled versus this, but I will say, I'll be honest, these Sasquatch shocks don't really feel that different than the stock ones. It's just my brutal, honest opinion. I don't think I felt a huge difference in terms of how soft it rode over rocks or how comfortable it was in the vehicle. It felt just as stiff and bumpy as the regular shocks that I had on my base Big Bend. Now, that being said, I did feel a difference with these 35-inch tires. What I did notice was I felt a little bit more confident just because of the ride height and the tread on these tires, that I knew I could conquer certain obstacles that I probably wouldn't risk doing with the regular tires I had and the lower suspension height. So adding the Sasquatch package with these tires and the higher ride height helped me feel a little bit more confident in conquering some of those terrains. In addition, the fact that I went on the Moab off-rodeo with pretty much the same exact setup, aside from having lockers, which the vehicle that I took on the off-rodeo had lockers, this one does not, because it is just the base Big Bend with the Sasquatch tires and wheels and shocks. That trip and that video that I made actually made me feel a lot more confident into the capabilities of this vehicle. And so going on that trip really made me feel like, you know what, I can conquer this uphill climb because I've seen this vehicle do it without lockers and not have any issues on the same exact wheel and tire setup and these same exact shocks. So I would say the fact that it had greater ride height and the fact that I went on the off-rodeo and got a little bit more experience under my belt, I felt a a lot more comfortable taking this vehicle off-road. And even though there was a little bit of damage, you know, it is what it is. That's why I purchased this vehicle. This isn't meant to be a mall crawler. It's meant to be off-road and have a little bit of fun. Now, the trails I went on by no means were difficult. They were pretty moderate to easy trails. They were just fun. And it was nice to get a little bit more experience in taking this vehicle on some pretty simple trails overall. Now, for those of you that are wondering, because I hate when people show off some really cool scenery but never talk about exactly where they are, the first trail that you guys saw on camera was up Hodges Canyon. And then I actually took a left up Richardson, and I went probably a quarter of the way up before I turned around. Now, the second trail I went on was called Peter Sinks Road, and that's where you had some of those cool obstacles that were obviously designed for off-roaders and side-by-sides. So if you guys are in the area and you want to check out those trails that I was on in today's video, well, there's the information for you so you can have fun. Overall, I am very impressed with this vehicle. I had a blast on the trip, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. It's a little bit of a different style of video, but I think it gave you some cool information and some scenic views of what we have here in the beautiful state of Utah. If this is your first time stopping by, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel for all of the weekly videos. Also find me on all of the social media at Shwazy_. And as always, everybody, I hope you stay Shwazy, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day.